Today in the crypto space, we see a bit of a hesitation throughout the market. Bitcoin at around $43,300 and Ethereum right around that $2,500 mark. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are pretty much doing nothing, waiting for the heavyweights to make a decision. Is Bitcoin going to take a dip, or is Ethereum going to take over and start this altcoin season? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that is retracing, and of course, the project is called Trias. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's see what's going on here with the top 100. What's happening here with the general market? Then we'll take a look at Bitcoin as a leading indicator to give us an idea of what could be happening in the immediate short term. And then, of course, the project for today, Trias. We'll take a look at that and see what's happening there, if it is an opportunity or not. Bitcoin right now is still going sideways, maybe showing a little bit of strength, but still kind of going sideways. Ethereum still holding up pretty good. In the last 24 hours, up approximately 1.9%. Not bad, given that Bitcoin is still kind of going sideways. So you see Ethereum still showing strength, in comparison to Bitcoin. We have BNB looking pretty strong, at least going sideways at the top of the range. Maybe looking for another bull flag scenario for a continuation to the upside. We have Solana going sideways, and we have a lot of these altcoins still kind of going sideways. I believe that there's a bit of a hesitation here in this market. However, the narrative with regards to an Ethereum run is still lingering, right? We still want to see if the Ethereum narrative is going to basically be a catalyst for an altcoin season. And guys, that would be super bullish. Here on the channel, all we've been talking about is altcoins for the last little while, accumulating great positions at the bottom of the range, and we see that a lot of these altcoins are ready to get going, but they need that indication that the market is ready to take risk again and get the money flowing back into the market, into altcoins, into Ethereum is the first thing that we need to see for a potential indication. And the Bitcoin dominance, guys, tonight at in the live stream at 7:30 Eastern, we'll talk about the Bitcoin dominance. We'll look at the Bitcoin price. We'll see what other clues we have for a potential altcoin season, because that's exactly what we should be preparing for. And of course, preparing for it also, just in case it doesn't happen, we need to make sure that we have some great risk management in store, because if Bitcoin does drag down the market with tons of fear because of a dump, what we have to watch out for is the fact is, the market will definitely bleed out, and there's a lot of fear in the market when that happens. So we got to be careful there for sure. All right, guys, what else do we have here? We have Chainlink going sideways, still kind of at the top of the range. We have Toncoin showing strength, of course. Matic, Polygon grinding away there, waiting for Ethereum. ICP going sideways. Many projects going sideways. Not many major gainers. There's some good ones today. Like, we do have some good runners. Blur is doing good overall. There's some others. Shido's doing great, and HBAR getting a nice little bit of a relief to the upside. They do have an extended partnership with or involvement with Hitachi, which is part of the director, the council all of a sudden. So that's a pretty good thing for HBAR. We have Kaspa still grinding to the downside. No real strength just yet. Maybe we can get another good entry on Kaspa at the bottom of the range here. We'll look at Kaspa, Taraxa. There's a lot of them that are. Tau has been retracing. A few good retracements from some of those projects that ran up earlier on in the first wave. We got to understand that those guys are definitely overheated, and the fact that they're pulling back is an opportunity, guys. So that's what we have to watch out for, is those types of opportunities to scale in at lower levels. Okay, don't buy into the tops, relax, look a say, coming down a little bit. Of course, you know, it's such a bullish project. There's a lot of people having a lot of FOMO right now, wishing they would have bought in, and they're thinking of buying in. Guys, we're topish. Say is very topish right now. Look for something else. Look for another project that is ready to explode, and it's better use of your capital. Remember, you gotta put your capital to work, and putting it to work on Say right now, you're asking for a bit of trouble. Yes, it could continue. Yes, it could go for another leg. It could run, but statistically speaking, Say did a great job already. We're almost at a $2 billion market cap, which is pretty large here, and we should be looking for projects to have yet pumped. So that's the good thing about buying low and selling high, is that at least you can remain profitable that way. The graph doing pretty good, grinding away. Tau got a nice little bounce in the short term. Okay, this is a very short term scenario, but it's still within that bigger retracement. Okay, that's the thing here, is Tau right now showing a proof of life, which is very healthy. I think that upon a bit of a retracement as a confirmation low, higher low or something like that, maybe it is a good time to start DCing back into Tau. Tau's looking pretty good. It got a nice bounce of 12% today, but it still hasn't given us that confirmation that we're done dipping. So this could be a bit of relief to the upside, but ultimately no real confirmations just yet. Confirmations sometimes happen, sometimes they don't. BitTensor could keep on running back to previous highs. It's very possible, but I'd rather get in, since BitTensor Tau ran up so hard already. I'd rather wait for all those confirmations, and if I'm going to be taking risk, I'm going to be taking risk on projects that have yet to run. Okay, so BitTensor did a great job in its rally. Sui coming down for a little bit of a dip, down 9% today, guys. Don't buy tops, take it easy, let it run, and then let it fall, and then buy dips like that. Don't be buying in green candles. Mina looking pretty okay, maybe looking for a break of the previous high, and you can see again another wave of many altcoins just going sideways. Phantom waking up a little bit. Guys, you know I'm rooting for all those ecosystem projects, all those layer ones, because at the end of the day, those are the projects, those are the ecosystems that we look for when we're trying to, you know, look for altcoins, small projects that get built on these ecosystems. So we want these ecosystems to stay alive and look healthy. And Phantom right now is waking up. I like Phantom. I always did like Phantom. So let's see what's going on there with Spooky Swap, guys. If you're looking for a DEX for Phantom, Spooky Swap is where it's at. Helium going sideways. We have Theta Network. We have Beam grinding to the upside, up 4%. That's decent. That's decent. Beam did take a decent retracement in the last little while. So to see a nice, opportunity to reclaim previous highs is decent as well. I'm glad to see that. Tezo's coming down, and we have Chili's waking up. I don't know why, up 45%. I don't know fundamentally what happened. The news, something bullish. I'm not sure exactly, but definitely doing pretty good. Congrats if you're able to get in here on Chili's. DYDX. An exchange that I want to get reacquainted with. I want to start using the derivatives option that DYDX has. Sounds pretty good to stay decentralized but still trade with leverage. Blur showing a lot of strength as well. 65% to the upside, another 12% for today, guys. Be careful with buying these green candles. This is the issue. A lot of people really wish they could have got in, and sometimes the FOMO kicks in and they start buying tops. They become exit liquidity. Just be careful here overall, okay? What else do we have? Sideways. Wu waking up a little bit, a bit of retracement here on Clay, and sideways, Terra sideways, and CFX looking pretty good. Look at CFX trying to break previous highs. I think it already did. Maybe it's looking for a run. Overall, guys, this market is still looking good, even though we've got a bit of retracements in the immediate short term. Some projects coming down. We saw Bitcoin fall. We see Ethereum holding up pretty nicely, and I feel that this is basically what we're going to be seeing here in the next little while, is that altcoins are going to be outperforming Bitcoin. And as we speak, this is the case. Look at some of these altcoins are running pretty hard, and they're large cap projects. So nonetheless, we're doing good here, guys. I know you want to talk about charts. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin. Of course, today's video is all about Trias. We're going to take a look at Trias, but today is about Bitcoin, Trias, but I want to talk about Bitcoin first. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. A nice consolidation here, a nice sideways or upward sloping channel, guys. We got rejected. We're still within this channel. We got a nice little bounce, and all of these moves, we were one step ahead of this price action, guys. We were very aware what could happen if we hit the bottom. We're getting a bit of a bounce. Guys, I'm not convinced about this bounce because ultimately, big picture, there's still a big fat bearish divergence that needs to basically follow through. And if it does get that follow through, we're coming down to about 33 to about 30K. Guys, let's be prepared for that one. Let's look at this in a little bit more detail. We definitely see Bitcoin showing weakness in comparison to the altcoin market. There's nothing that we, there's no other evidence suggesting otherwise, right? There's nothing otherwise here other than, we're seeing a bit of sideways action. Maybe the momentum gets stuck here in the RSI, in the 50% mark, in the chop zone. Maybe it does come down and gets fully oversold. And obviously, it could be possible that we see the price action continue going sideways. Guys, that's a sign of strength, for sure. If we see Bitcoin continue to go sideways while the momentum on the RSI fully resets to oversold conditions, guys, that's a sign of strength here for Bitcoin. However, guys, it's very unlikely. Every time we get those dips, we do get corrective moves. Now, it doesn't have to be a massive correction. It could definitely be just a dip down to about 33, to about 31, maybe around here, 30. Could come down around this zone. This is the zone that I'm really watching out for, okay? But really, if you look at the RSI, looking a bit bearish, and the MACD looking actually very bearish. EMAs are facing down, red histogram bars to the downside, and you can see that we're getting a bit of a slope to the downside with regards to these tops and these bottoms, creating a channel to the downside, and getting into the bearish control zone would cause a bigger dip. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm being very patient here. We could be in a distribution phase where we see the price action form a bigger pattern here, a complex head and shoulders, something like that, and or a wake off distribution, all very possible here on the daily, and then finally roll over and come down to these levels. Guys, if that happens, we're ready to go. It's very possible that Ethereum at least goes sideways in the immediate short term. It's very possible that altcoins get their season while Bitcoin continues going sideways. All of these are really good possibilities. In fact, I'm gearing towards betting on the fact that we get an altcoin season, because we could see a nice distribution here for Bitcoin for the next little while. While Bitcoin gets boring, altcoins get interesting, and that's when we might get that bullish momentum to the upside on alts. Okay, so I'm not going to get into much detail here. We'll get a little bit more detail live tonight at 7:30. Feel free to join. If you have any requests, that's a great time and place to make those requests live tonight at 7:30. Let's take a look at what Trias is up to, guys. A nice little retracement. Now, you got to know a little bit about the history, right? Because ultimately, you got to know where the majority of the market has gotten in. The market participation for this project was all the way down here. This is when things got interesting, all the way down at this bottom. And fortunately enough, here on the channel, this is when we were focused on Trias, right? This is where we're talking about Trias significantly. And we had a plan. We had a plan to accumulate at all possibilities. Volume gap, green arrow, everything came out to play. We came down from this head and shoulders formation. We didn't break down to the bullish price target. I didn't expect it because we had some support here. Lots of levels of support, right? Horizontal supports are strong, way stronger than any diagonal or even price target. If you do have a horizontal level of potential support, anticipate a reaction. And guess what, guys? We got a nice reaction here, and we see that a lot of the market did participate in the zone by buying in, by accumulating lots of accumulation volume right into here. So you can see that nice dip, confirmation bounce. All of a sudden, we get that huge spring to the upside. Now, you keep in mind that we have a lot of market participants that bought into this level and have bags. Now, all of a sudden, we start running. We're in some major gains. Now, look at the price action. Look at the volume in this level. There's not much happening, especially above 10 cents. $10, $10.30, give or take. Let's make it 11. Let's make it around here so that we can be very modest with our numbers. I don't like nickeling and diming. Let's be modest right around here, okay? About $11. Okay, and if you look left, you got some tops, that's not bad, okay? And you can see that the volume drastically diminishes at this level, right? Especially if you include more price action, it's a lot clearer. Let it there you go. Now all of a sudden you can see that we get a lot of support here. If we do fall a little bit more, this is the zone between 11 to about $10 more or less. That's the support zone. This is where I'm expecting a reaction. Now look at the momentum on the RSI, guys. I'm going to scooch this over, but you're going to see that the volume profile is going to change. So let me do something before we do that. Let me put this in here to identify a little bit of a range for support somewhere within here, because you can see that after this we get a lot of support. So let's zoom in a little bit and we'll get rid of it. The VPVR will change, and we'll kind of show you how weak things are, even with the fact that if you just look at this pop to the upside, straight up price action, no volume, very little volume in between other than this little jitter that we got right here. And you can see at about $8, that could be a level of future support. It could be, statistically speaking, It's very unlikely given that there's very low volume here, very low market participation for that to have an effect, but it could happen. So we got to keep in mind. Now, also keep in mind that everybody got in here, and the people that got in here are in some serious gains. Look what kind of gains we're talking about. We're talking about 430%. Now, the people that bought the bottom, are they, capable of absolutely selling the absolute top? The likelihood of that happening is very low. So what I'm expecting here is some sort of reaction to the upside eventually. Some sort of reaction to the upside where we get some sort of confirmation, a double top, a higher high, a lower high. Something that gives the bears, the bulls, the indication that the bears are going to start coming back in, because ultimately this just looks like a correction at this current moment. There's no real indication of a major trend reversal because there's not enough data. So technically speaking, we could get some support and start going to the upside again after a nice corrective move to the downside, right? So that's exactly what right now the bears are hoping for. The bulls are hoping for some support and a continuation to the upside for another leg to the upside. However, guys, over 400% is a very risky scenario to start getting in for a position. Guys, that is very overheated price right now. And in my opinion, we are currently leaving overbought conditions, and there's not even any real bearish divergence just yet, really. There was a little bit right here on these tops. If you kind of drag this out, you can see the tops right here flatlined while the momentum's falling, so that's very good. But after the follow through, it's likely that we get a bit of a back test, and upon the back test, we're going to start to get confirmations, and as we build those confirmations of a continuation to the downside, it's likely that we see all the individuals that bought here at the bottom to take a bit of profit to reduce the risk. Guys, it's all about protecting your gains at that point, because even if we make a higher high with the continuation of this class A bearish divergence that we see here, it's still an opportunity to still de-risk and protect those gains, because these guys are in some significant gains. Now, how do we turn this into an opportunity? That for me is a very important thing, because obviously we want to buy the dip. Buying a little bit of a dip around this level is not bad, right? Momentum wise on the daily, let's stick with this daily. If we get into the chop zone and go sideways for a good little while, we can get into the 4 hour and expect a bit of a recovery on the 4 hour, and that's where I'm expecting an attempt for the previous high. It could be that we continue going. That's why an entry on the 4 hour is not bad of idea, but I would get very defensive as we get closer to the double top. I would be trailing up a stop loss right away at break even on based on this daily, and assuming that if we continue going, you can trail up your stop loss a little bit higher, and that way you can protect your gains, and at any point we get into any resistance, you can take a little bit of profit off the top to reduce your position size. However, the daily is pushing down, the MACD is looking really bearish, EMA is facing to the downside, and how could we expect a pop right now? You can't. Only maybe on lower time frames. Let's do that on the 4 hour. Just keep in mind that the daily is still pushing to the downside, and overall currently the trend of the momentum is down, and if we're going to be trading against the daily, it's got to be a quick in and out type of thing, and that's why I'm saying if we get a bounce, we got to get out before the previous high just in case, or at least trail up the stop loss. You can see not even the 4 hours oversold here on the momentum. I would have loved to see this RSI in this state down here below or near, at least near the 30% mark. We even haven't gotten to that state. So you know what? It means that we could potentially come down for a little bit more, maybe touch the 200 EMA here on the 4 hour, maybe get closer to this little volume gap. You can see there's a bit of an indentation right here where we can get a bit of support, and that's where we have a very confluent horizontal support. You can see that. So I'm interested in this area. And then obviously if we get oversold on the 4 hour, we might get some signs of bullish divergence for that little pop to the upside. But again, remember that daily, the daily still pushing down. It's likely that we continue. The 4 hour EMA, the 4 hour MACD EMAs are still facing down. Sure, the histogram bars are looking pretty good. The fact that they're moving up, look at this, right? A little bit of divergence happening. Let's see. Yep, price action's coming down overall, and the MACD is pushing up, but the RSI momentum is still pushing down. So this is where we're at. We're a little bit ahead. We're, I think, a couple of days ahead of potentially getting a bullish support signal. Once we get that signal, I think it's time to start DCAing. Look at this level. Keep this on your chart. I'm going to be putting a green arrow into this zone. Why? Because I can see this volume gap like pretty much right there, and I see this EMA, and I'm seeing the bottom of the volume gap. I like this area, and I see these tops that could act as support, and this is why I put that secondary line right here to give us a bit of an option, to give a zone where we can start DCing. And then we can't negate the fact, the absolute bearish price target, okay? There is, and obviously it's to come down and test the bottom levels where the majority of the market is, which is all the way down here. We do have an emptiness right here. You can see that it can fall right through if you exclude previous price action. As soon as you include more price action, guys, it does fill up. There is a bit of support here. Let's get onto the daily so we can see that. You can see the volume profile does fatten up right around this level, but there's a volume gap. And sometimes it does come down. Sometimes we can fall right through and get to this volume gap. So what I like to do is mentally prepare myself for that potential to happen. And what does that mean? That means you got to put a stop loss somewhere. And I would be putting a stop loss at about $9 and accumulating right into this zone, especially once we see signs of support, signs of a bounce, signs of bullish divergence on the 4 hour, expecting a short-term bounce, and then getting into a long-term position when the daily gets oversold, holding for a long term. Wait for this daily, because again, let's go on this MACD on this RSI. You can see that the mean reversion could be in play here, and we can see the purple and the yellow catch up to one another, and that could be caused by a bounce on the 4 hour, and that means that we might see the momentum go up a little bit and then come right back down and then, you know, get oversold. Once we get to this area, we start to look for bullish divergence, and that's when we start scaling in heavier here on the daily, using a nice DCA strategy at horizontal support. Okay, so this is how I would play this, looking for different levels. I'm hoping that we don't get down here, but we definitely got to reserve a bit of capital to buy the dip at this level, and you got to put a stop loss just in case it does fall. Where you're going to buy the dip, you got to go for the next level of support. It could be $8. You can see the jitter here that caused a bit of a spike of supply and demand, but ultimately the majority of the support is all the way at the bottom. Guys, this is an opportunity potential. If you are bullish on Trias and you have been looking for entries, this is what you need to be watching out for. Is for the horizontal support between $11 and $10, give or take, and then ultimately if we break from there, we're going to come down between, I would say, between $6 to $5 more or less. Okay, guys, I'll keep you posted. Join the Discord. Make sure that you slap the like button if you found any value in this video. It does really help out with the algorithm and getting that going. Join the Discord, guys, the Discord where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. See you tonight at 7:30. Take care, have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.